Hey everybody, so in this video we're going to be looking at two variations of the fate line. Now in order to understand these variations you need to have a basic knowledge of what the fate line is and what it's about. So the fate line is the line that runs up the center of the palm towards the middle finger. Not everybody always has it, and we're going to be looking at when it comes from A within the lifeline and is actually tied to the lifeline at the beginning and then moves up towards the middle finger, or B when it comes from the subconscious area of the palm here. This is the hypothenar eminence. It's on the outside edge of the palm, and sometimes the fate line can come from within this area towards the middle finger. So the fate line shows somebody's sense of direction, it shows their sense of purpose, it shows how well somebody knows themselves, how well they know what it is they want to do, it shows their convictions, and it's someone's target in life. And depending on where the fate line is commencing, it shows a very different psychological aspect towards these things. So we're going to look at some case studies, and I'm going to give you some examples of how these two variations of the fate line can affect the person differently. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's start by looking at a tied fate line. So this is when the fate line is connected to the lifeline. Now, what a tied fate line shows is that somebody's sense of work is somewhat restricted by a feeling of duty in some kind of way. This person might have had a lot of family pressures to go into the work that they've done, or very simply they might feel that there is this pressure or this duty that's making them want to work quite strongly for money, or work in a field which they don't 100% enjoy necessarily, but they feel they ought to be doing it. Very often when the lifeline and the fate line are tied, there is this outside pressure that's making somebody do what they do. When it's tied like this, it does show a sense of caution within the person. They don't tend to be as adventurous as the other types. Within a relationship, they very often go for familiarity with somebody. They want somebody that's quite close to their family or something like this, someone who's quite familiar to them. But the main thing to think about is this sense of wanting to work for money. Working for money and making money is usually stronger than working for enjoyment. Now, this person here joined the army when they were quite young, and on leaving the army, they went and became a physiotherapist. Now, what we can tell from the fact that the fate line is tied is their attitude towards these jobs that they've had, and it shows that in both of their work that they've done, there's this sense of restriction and duty within it. They feel they ought to be doing what they're doing, and money for them is really the priority. Okay, now this is a good example showing how the psychology of the tied fate line really shows somebody's attitude towards their work. Now, this person's quite a successful director and they're a documentary filmmaker. And you might think, oh wow, you know, what an unusual career path, what an adventurous job you've taken. However, because the fate line is tied, it shows that to him there's a sense of restriction and there's a sense of duty within what he does. So when I was speaking to him about this, he explained that it was actually the family business that he'd gone into. And even though that he obviously really enjoys his work and he loves making films and documentaries and he's very good at it, it shows that initially there was this sense of pressure and there's this sense of duty in his work that still holds him to it today. Okay, and just to look at one more tied fate line here, this is a young lady who works in sales for a wine company, and there's a part of her that enjoys what she does. She gets to do lots of tastings and gets to learn about the wines that she's very interested in. However, because the line is tied, we know that there's a sense of restriction, there's a sense of duty in what she's doing, and she might just feel she has to do it to make the money. And this is what's the key thing about the fate line being tied. Interestingly, if we zoom right in, when this person gets to about the age of 37, 38, we can see quite a shift coming in the fate line, and this would be closer to the type of fate line that we're going to look at in a minute, where it's coming from the subconscious area of the hand. And just to summarize before we move on, When the fate line's tied, it shows that duty is potentially more important than enjoying one's job. The filmmaker here obviously really did like their work, but more often than not, somebody feels like they ought to be doing what they're doing rather than really loving what they're doing. Okay, so now looking at the other type of fate line, this is the one that's coming from the subconscious section of the hand. It's not attached to the lifeline. It's got no ties to family. It hasn't got any restriction or duties or outside pressures that's coming onto it. This is a job that's going to be much more personal. Somebody's on a life path that is, for them, their calling. It's something that they really have to enjoy and absolutely love doing. For them, making money is not as important as doing something that their heart is involved with. Somebody, when the fate line's coming right from this section of the hand here, doesn't really concern themselves about the finances so much in what they do. Their priority is to find fulfillment and really enjoy what they are doing. Because it's coming from the outside section of the hand as well, it can show quite a strong sociable side within their work and a strong influence on people, or someone who has people influence them quite strongly. So for example, within a relationship, this person is much more likely to have a partner who changes them quite a lot and has a strong influence on them. This person's hand here I took at WOMAD Festival. I saw her performing. She's in a world music band and she's a singer and a dancer, and of course she absolutely loves what she does. And because of where the fate line's coming, we know that regardless of how good the pay is, she's going to do what she's doing because she really loves it and finds it soulfully fulfilling. So we're looking here at another fate line that's coming from the subconscious area of the hand, and it's worth saying that the further it comes from this area, the more unusual, the more adventurous, the more personal someone's job is going to be. So this fate line's coming well from within their subconscious area here. So for all their life, this person's going to be doing things that they find really personal to them. They're going to be very adventurous and they're going to want to do something that's very original. This person's currently an acupuncturist, and we can see because of the fate line that they're going to have to really enjoy what they do. It has to be something very personal to them. It has to be a calling of theirs in some kind of way, and their enjoyment is far more important to them than making a lot of money. It's a key characteristic. And ultimately, this person is quite free. They haven't got the same inhibitions, they haven't got the same restrictions, and they're going to follow their desires in what it is they want to do. Okay, so just to summarize the two again. When the fate line is tied to the lifeline, it shows that there's a sense of restriction, duty, or pressure on the person to do what they do. They're going to value making money, and they can be very good at making money. They can be incredibly successful in things. However, we know that this is where their focus is lying. When the fate line's coming from the outside section of the hand, somebody's going to want much more personal fulfillment. They're going to seek doing something that they find solely fulfilling, and to them, money isn't going to be as important as doing something that they really love and that their heart is solely in.